What song are you trying to get out of your head?
The song from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh.
That's your fault. That is your fault, Thaddeus. You put that song in my head.
No, that
I
was.
don't care.
That was.
That wasn't me.
That was apropos. The other bald guy. Come on.
Yeah, that was the other bald guy that put that in my head. Yeah.
All right,
Come on.
so listeners,
bald guys straight,
we
eh?
are live with Thad and apropos.
And let's just face it, though, Nev. I mean,
Picard.
that is an amazing, amazing show, and you could do worse than having other songs stuck in your head.
Getting high, baby.
You can have
Getting
the
high, baby. Getting high. Just can't get it out of my head.
The
All
baby
right, with
shark.
that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Anthony, and I welcome you to this edition, this episode number 5 of Talking Picard. I am joined, as always, by Neil Andrew Eyre, my co-host on the Escape Pod Cast, our fellow Escape Pod Castaways Content Creator Network member, Thaddeus.
Yay!
And also, you guys do recognize Mrs. Anthony from the Talking Picard series. Say hello.
Hello.
And a very special guest who will be, hopefully, joining us week in and week out. Ladies and gentlemen, straight out of bedroom is Apropos. How you doing, Apropos?
Hello from the great land of Canada.
Yes. So if for some reason anything happens to where he doesn't hear us, blame it on the Canadian internet. It's shared universally.
Oh, it's those universal systems.
Yeah. Well, I asked people not to pick up the phone. Try not to have that interruption today.
In the entire country of Canada, nobody pick up the phone.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's right.
Right.
Seriously, no phone calls right now. It's important, okay?
You know,
Yeah,
and-
you're also going to need to relay those instructions in French as well.
That's true.
Yeah, well,
parlez-vous anglais?
We'll get to talking French here in a moment.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Worst episode to be here for.
But Epro, you are adding something to the push for 1K. Do you want to tell everybody what that is behind you? Has he?
I think I heard me in there.
Yes, go ahead.
This is a Star Trek poster that I have actually been storing one place or another for the last 25 years.
Wow.
It's an amazing poster. It came out mid-series run. The oldest picture in it is Encounter at Farpoint, the newest one. We've got Hugh in the brig here and some C3 or 4 uniform there. So
Go Canada.
Go Canada.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
We've lost Apropos for a second.
Blame Canada.
Oh, he's back.
Blame
back.
Canada.
oh, look at that. Wow. I talk too much and it shuts me off. I see how it is.
My hands are right here.
Come on, Canada.
Yeah,
Let
come
him
on,
talk.
Canada.
For all the children gone awry. Yeah. Neil donates his hair, and I'll donate this poster. And I'll try not to be as horrible with the postal service as I have been. I just can't catch that dog, man. He's fast.
I thought you guys upgraded to a moose and like a sleigh
Wrong
team.
neighborhood.
Oh, gotcha.
Apro, I will tell you right now, I will personally send you a prepaid envelope or stamp or whatever it takes to get that to whoever wins that. Whoever wins that one.
It's still Royal Mail in Canada.
It's still going to be a bush plane and a sled dog.
Yeah, well, it depends on what day it is. If it's the middle of the month, it's a bush plane. If it's the beginning of the month, it's a sled dog. If it's the end of the month, it's the moose hunters. You never know.
All right, guys. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the. I'm going to post inside. Well, once we hit 1,000, I will add to the. I will add a picture of this poster that Apropos is giving away. I'll add that to the listener lounge. We're going to celebrate big time. And also, if you click on the description, donations will show up behind us if you are so kind. Let's get to it, guys. We are going to be talking Picard this episode. I totally didn't write down what this episode was. Picard series episode 5. It was called
Jigsaw Comes Back to Life.
It was called episode 5. No, Stardust City Rag. Stardust City Rag was the name of this episode. And, you know, it started off reminding me why this show is
not for children.
Not for children.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy cow.
Great job, Jonathan Frakes. Great job. Really awesome job, Jonathan. Awesome job, Jonathan. You know, your children would be proud.
Again, as I watched this, I was like, damn. Like it. Okay, I love violence. I don't mind gore. You do anything with a person's eye, and I'm immediately like cringing, and that was painful to watch. Oh,
They could have done it the way Marvel did it. They so could have done it the way Marvel did it.
who lost an eye in Marvel?
The low-key scene in Germany, in Berlin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
could have done it. They could have. It's been done without gore and violence before. It could have been done like they could have done it like that. Wouldn't have seen blood. We wouldn't have seen. We wouldn't have seen that.
Okay. So I have an idea, Nev, and this is based on my own bias here. CBS is this television station geared for people ages 50 and up, right? you have hot babes like Mark Hamill, not Mark Hamill. What's his name? Mark Harmon, who is, I mean, that man doesn't age. I mean, he hit a point and then it was just like amazing. Part of me feels like what they're trying to do is add the gore, add the violence to like we've mentioned, to bring in those people who are young, you know, whose grandparents may have CBS All Access and whose kids are like staying the weekend. They're like, oh, hey, let's watch Star Trek. Here's excessive violence and gore. Trying to bring on that new generation, but at the same time, you know, appease the older generation with people like Mark Harmon.
And I'm going to ask this question, and apropos, you answer this first. Do they need to? Do they need to?
Well, yes and no. In Next Generation, Voyager, not really Deep Space Nine, the Borg were involved. People were getting cut up and taken apart, and there was no blood or gore. So they've done it without it. But at the same time, if they did it without it now, people would complain that wasn't real. So they're trapped between, do they stay true or do they go real? And apparently they chose a really, really strange version of real.
Very real.
See, if I wanted money, and CBS is a company that wants money, I would have gone with Bank. You know, tried and true. Let's stick with tried and true. It'll make us money, and maybe we'll make some new fans and some new money instead of instead of potentially pissing off people that, you know, the people who you would expect, you know, to bank with. You know, that would be my argument. Stick with tried and true, and add stuff. You know, bring the new stuff in. It's like, oh, we'd like to take it in this direction, or maybe try taking it off in this direction a little bit. Maybe go up instead of, in a flat line. But you start with tried and true, and then you move on from that. You build up your fan base, you build up your audience, and you build and you build and you build. And the Orville, I'm always going to go to the Orville as a perfect example of tried and true, huge fan base for a brand new show, loads of old Trekkers and Trekkies. They're making a fortune. So if they'd gone with tried and true, I think they'd be making more money and things would snowball, and then they could try different directions and they could try new things. But it's all new.
No, and I get that. I want to throw a big wrench in Nev's point about the Orville. I love the episodes of the Orville that I've watched, and I've said this before. I haven't seen all of them. Halfway through season 1, I am, and I'm ashamed to admit that because it is an amazing show. What brought me to the Orville had nothing to do with Star Trek. It had everything to do with Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane is an amazing creator. He is, he's awesome. I've loved everything Seth MacFarlane has touched. And he takes something, he does do the tried and true, and I love that, but he puts his own spin on it. And because he puts his own spin on it, I view the Orville more as a farce, a spoof of Star Trek than an actual homage to it. And I know that that's not necessarily his intent because, as you guys have mentioned, and as I believe that he said quite a bit, he is a fan, a huge fan of Star Trek. And as such, this is, in his mind, an homage to the fandom, right? He is in keeping to that, but it couldn't be something spoofy if he were to distance himself from what was already created. He has to stay true to it, or else there is no spoof, right? There's no farce there, right? It's not silly, right? But it is. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking, and that's my personal belief. And I'm going to stop there because I totally spaced where I was going. I'll let someone else talk.
Christy, what
I was about to say, Christy, back us up here. The Next Generation had comedy in it.
Okay, Next Generation, yeah, had definitely some comedic elements. Nowhere near as much as Orville, obviously. But I'm actually going to disagree with you. I like that there's a little bit edgier tone in this series. I like that there's a little bit, I know it's weird. I like that there's a little bit of gore. I wish it hadn't been eyeballs. I think that was a little gross and too much.
Yeah.
But the special effects in this series, especially because I am going back and watching the older stuff, obviously the technology wasn't there, but that's the kind of thing that you go back and stuff doesn't date well with the original series and Next Generation and all that. Everything looks really old and cheesy and whatever. And the special effects in this are really bringing it to a place where you can really have that suspension of disbelief and feel like you're in that world, and that, yeah, that technology could totally exist. And yes, they can totally have this laser that they shoot from their pocket and transporters, and all of this makes sense in this world. It doesn't look as science fiction as it used to in those series. And so I like that they're really getting into that, and they're not holding back and keeping to the 1960s and 1990s version of what was acceptable on TV. I still think this went too far. Don't get me wrong. It was gross and I did not want to watch it. But in general, I like where it's going.
I know. Sorry, Paul.
No, I was just going to say, it's absolutely... You do not need to go there with a science fiction show called Star Trek. If this was, Star Renegades or something like that, maybe. But this is Star Trek. You don't need blood, and you don't need to go TVMA to gain viewers.
And I'm not complaining about the technology.
Hang on. Apropos, go ahead.
Sorry, Dev.
No, go ahead, mate.
Assimilated Picard. like season in the Next Generation, they threw a thing right over his eye, and there was no blood. You watched them kiss his eye, but there was not a single drop of blood, and that's a good and a bad thing because it's not realistic, but it kept it G-rated.
True.
Yeah, no, that's what I don't, Kirsty. I'm with you on the special effects, which is why
Yeah.
at no point during any of our Talking Picards have I complained about the special effects.
Yeah.
Special effects get better and better with each generation. They got better with Voyager, they got better with Enterprise, and they should be awesome now. We've got the heads-up displays, the lasers are better, the transporting's better, the teleportation is better. The special effects are better. You don't need to show one actor ripping another actor's eyeball out and then cutting it as it's hanging there and then joking, oh, where's your cortical? It's like, no, I'm watching that thinking, why?
But
You know,
without the
all of
trauma
the
that-
ship, the special effects in the ship, the way that he control, I love all of that. I think that's excellent. I think that is brilliant, excellent new technology, and I don't complain and I'm loving that stuff. It's just
Without the trauma of what was being done to Ichid, how would you have explained the storyline of what Seven did immediately after? Like,
Yeah.
we're just talking about the actual blood and gore, but if it had just been like a completely innocuous scene where you can assume that, yeah, maybe he was being tortured, but there's not the graphic extent of it, how would you have understood that she killed him?
You don't need a drill going towards a damn eyeball. You
I-
don't need to show.
That
You don't need
was
to
too
show the
much.
cut. You know, there's plenty of ways to show traumatic damage, and I'm now scared to go to sleep tonight.
I'm always scared to
I need
say-
an eyeball and a distraction.
Hold on. I'm gonna say this with Christy. I'm right there with you. I preemptively am gonna tell this. I loved this episode because of the characterization that it had. Also the costumes were awesome, but that's for later.
Yeah.
I love this episode simply because finally I feel like they tried to put in story. They tried to connect these characters.
Mhm.
Before it was all like, hey, we're going through the motions, we're doing stuff. You got some stuff, some real emotion from Picard. You knew why he was acting, but everyone else held their cards so close to the chest that it was hard to see what was going on. And finally, we have emotion. We have rage and reason for it. Now, I will say we didn't see the drill going into the eye, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
That would have been rough. But yeah, I think there could have been ways to show to imply the gore that without showing it. However, by showing it, they did heighten the anger, the disgust, the trauma that not only that character went through, these other characters as well.
If I did not have to review a show for a weekly show that I do,
Mm-hmm.
I would have told Christy, I'm done with this show. You watch the rest of it. Tell me what happens.
I'm right there with you.
So does
Now-
that mean that it's going to be me, apropos, and Christy next week?
Yes.
Now I'll be
Another
back.
party.
I'll be back.
No, he's just going to make me watch it
Oh.
first and tell him if there's any gross.
What were you going to say, apropos?
Go ahead, Apro.
Sorry, man, I'm going all potato here. Now, as a self-proclaimed nerd, I have to point out they have had some graphic violence in Star Trek before. In season 1, there is an episode where they're eating worms, and it turns out those worms infest the bodies, and they actually use a phaser to blow somebody up, not just create a hole, but actually cause the top half of a person's body to explode. So they have done it before, but after that, the next time that you see anything quite that violent, is in Deep Space Nine during the Dominion War. So I have to point that part out of it as well, because it's not unheard of, but it's definitely rare. And this is a whole new level of it.
This was definitely a whole new level. But let's go ahead and talk the episode, because we'll get back to the death of Ichib here in a second. Did anybody else who was watching this whole thing with Basil, I think, was the easiest way to say the name? Did anybody else think Gozer from Ghostbusters?
Yeah. I am Gozer, destroyer of worlds.
Exactly. Did
Rock Monster?
No. The person who, are you a god?
Are you a god then?
Oh.
Die.
There is no Dana, only Zool. No. Well, that was somebody. That was the other lady. But the person at the very end of the original Ghostbusters,
Oh, yeah.
It really made me think of Gozer with the whole bodysuit and all that. But anyway,
don't get me wrong, she's hot, but it's
we
like
see Gozer kill, apparently, to what we thought, kill Bruce Maddox, or at least poison him. And then the next shot we see, we get introduced to Bruce Maddox right away after this whole flashback scene. But then we go into Picard's quarters where 7 of 9 is walking around.
Good.
We find out 7 of 9 is part of the Fenris Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a ranger. She's a badass. Oh God, I just love her character. How awesome is her character?
So, yeah,
and now it's even more
sweet.
awesomer because she's the leader of a vigilante group of people. Dishing out. She's the 24th century version of Hannibal from the A-Team. All she's missing is a stogie. Because when you need somebody, who do you call? You hire the A-Team, and she's the leader of the Rangers, and the Rangers are like the space A-Team. Just slightly harsher. Instead of blowing things up and beating them up, it's like, I'm going to disintegrate you.
Yeah.
But yeah, loved her character, loved her introduction into the show. Yeah, one of the saving graces of the show, for me.
Go ahead,
Really?
Christy.
I especially love that they didn't just take 7 of 9 and try to dump her into Starfleet in some way, because the entire time that she was on Voyager, it was about her trying to figure out who she was now, not fitting in, being her own person. I mean, she basically set up a lab and quarters away from all the rest of the crew so she could do her own thing, because she just never fit in. And so we find her in the future, and she's not like, she didn't go into Starfleet and just become a carbon copy of everybody else. She's completely done her own thing. And so she's out there in a ship by herself, trying to protect people that need protecting. And it feels very cohesive to the story I know about 7 of 9. It feels like a continuation of where she was always headed. And I really like that, like, the story makes sense.
They wrote her well.
Yeah.
They did.
They wrote her well.
What you got?
Oh, life outside the military is wild, and I think if we had seasons longer than these few seasons, like the few 15 whatever episodes, we were about 22 episodes, they would have had enough time to show us how each have happened and done it a lot smoother than just a massive Pulp Fiction scene right before we get into Star Trek. Although it is awesome to see Setback, and it's great that Jerry Ryan's super excited about it. And she better
say you'll be assimilated one more time.
Yeah, cancel Picard and give me 7 of 9 and the Rangers. I'll watch that.
Oh, what a spin-off.
It honestly could be a spin-off.
Probably a brilliant spin-off.
Like,
imagine Worf Joiner And
That's the thing is like as I'm watching this, I mean there are things that they could do, and like depending on how this series goes, it there's really a lot of potential for it. Not just as the continuation of a Star Trek, but other stuff. And based on what we're seeing with other properties, Marvel, Star Wars, just about everything Disney, you could clearly see them doing something like that. I mean, even a show that I'm really looking forward to airs tonight, The Walking Dead. There are 2 currently. There's another one in the mix, and I think a third that there's, they're working on. So or a fourth they're working on. So I mean, I think that having multiple things could really be something that they go through with here. So.
We would do one, but I understand that Talking Dead is already a trademark.
Yes, that is true. It is trademarked.
So after we find
really
out
talking walking is
talking
walking.
that's what we have to do. So we find out we see that Raffi's Googling Gabriel Huang. That'll come into play later. And that
are you saying that the Wang will come into play later? Come on, man.
The Wang will come into play later.
Come on.
We'll totally play off the Wang here a little bit later. Juhardi apparently loved Maddox. We find out that Maddox and Dr. Juhardi were an item.
They were begging.
Yep, there was a bit of May to December relationship going on there, wasn't there?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh,
teacher-student. Naughty Maddox.
Those chocolate chippies.
And then we end up getting the Canto Bite of Star Trek with Free Cloud. They had pop-up ads, interactive pop-up ads that they just seem so goofy.
But completely geared towards the person it was popping up in front of. I loved that.
Yeah.
There might be something to that with how as they were geared towards each person.
Yeah, like Picard's offered him tea.
Well, Picard's offered him tea, and there were some other things that maybe we will reference back. Maybe there's some foreshadowing in the pop-up ads that were given to them.
I missed the captains. Was the captain's like motor oil or something? Because I'm still fully believing that he's not real.
No, the captain. It was a ship upgrade kind of thing, like some
He's
kind of
the ship. That's what it is. The captain is the ship. They're one and the same.
Excuse me. We've told you about this before. If you're going to spout off conspiracy theories, put the damn hat on. Thank you.
The captain is the ship.
Okay.
I don't see any difference. Was he going to put a hat on?
Yeah, that's true.
It was just as shiny.
Yeah. I just got to get to cover up my bald head for a few seconds.
All right. So when they do make it to first off, Seven offers herself as a trade for the life of Maddox.
Indeed.
But once we do get down to the surface, please tell me you caught the name of the bar.
No.
Canto Bite.
Did you catch the name of the bar, Apro?
No. Now I'm really. Now I'm thinking I should have.
Paul noticed it from.
I noticed it from the first second. The name of the bar is Quark's Bar.
Really?
The name of the bar is Quark's Bar. They also talked about Quark the Ferengi in the dialogue later on. So apparently Quark survived, and now he runs a bar on Free Cloud.
Which
I missed that. How did I miss that?
Maybe it was a franchise, a rule of acquisition.
I gotta say though, I made a video about this with Star Wars. I would love a spinoff, a Cheers style spinoff via Star Trek, run by or produced by none other than Seth MacFarlane. I think that would be perfect, right? Star Trek equals plus Cheers equals happiness in my mind.
If we do that, we have to do this. Hang on. If we do that, we absolutely need to have. Let me save the image and then load it up.
Cheers and Spade be great, whether it's Star Trek or Star Wars.
You need Morn.
It's interesting to.
He's the love interest.
I always thought Morn was more Norm.
Yeah, well, Morn is Norm.
Yeah.
Norm never had a love story.
Oh, he would in
yes,
this.
he did.
He would in this.
Well, I will have to do talking Cheers later. But we end up getting Pimp Rios and Jean-Luc Picard.
Yep,
Oh,
indeed.
Oh,
so much.
I want a hat like that.
Yeah,
That's-
outfit. That was hilarious. Did you notice
your
he
hat
also
needs a
had,
feather in it.
a little kind of bouncy walk as he walked
Oh
into
yeah, he had some swagger on him.
Yeah.
Which
Well, that
is
I always bugs me when I see people doing that, because obviously the music gets dubbed in afterwards. So he's being told this music is playing in the background, move to it, without hearing any music in the background, which is what it's like. It's like every disco or bar movie. You see people dancing in the background, but they ain't dancing to the timing of the music, and it's because they have to have the booms in so that the dialogue can be heard. They can't have the music playing in the background. It has to be dubbed in afterwards. So sometimes you get this awkward bobbing, and sometimes you get really good actors that will, hum the music in their head, and it's like,
I think Rios did a good job, though.
I think he did. I was impressed by it.
Rafi says that she admires Seven. That was kind of a precursor to what we find out later. Rios also does. We're getting flash forwards and flashbacks as Rios is offering up 7 of 9 in exchange for Maddox. And then, of course, correct me if I'm wrong here, Apro, but Elnor is Elnor.
Space Nun.
Yeah, he's a space nun.
Oh,
Okay, I'm sorry. Space
hadn't thought of that.
Legolas is Space Legolas. How about I
Oh
say
yeah,
that?
sorry, yeah, he is Space Legolas, isn't he? Yeah.
He is.
Space
oh yeah.
Legolas.
Okay, yeah.
character is that he doesn't know how to lie. He's just completely.
It felt like all his lines were just throwaways. Like, you have to say something this episode.
Yeah. I felt that too. But I will say his best line in the whole one was when the pop-ups were coming up. He's like, I didn't get a pop-up.
I didn't get a pop-up.
I didn't get a pop-up. Right?
That was very good. So after that, we see Picard trying to speak like a Frenchman. So he speak like a French pirate. Yes. Essentially, he became true Jean-Luc Picard.
Not just JL.
Not just JL. As I see the blood boil in Nev's eyes.
Yes.
Hey, we only got one JL.
Don't care. One JL is one JL too many.
Agreed.
See, apropos shaking his head, he's not liking it either.
So we then see that Raffi beams down. After the commercial, we see Stardust City Reproductive Health Services, essentially the maternity ward on Stardust City.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that when she was Googling Wang on the internet, we find out that she was looking up her son.
Yes.
He was looking for her son Wang.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Better than looking for her son's way.
So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. Gabriel Huang is apparently the son of Raffi, and as kind of a person who's cleaned up their life tends to do. She tried to reach back out to people that she's scorned, that she's pushed away. She told him that she's clean, and Gabriel wants pretty much nothing to do with her.
Now, here's yeah, I gotta say, I don't like Raffi. I don't feel that there's anything redeemable about this character so far. Like she's been a jerk to JL, to Picard. She's been a jerk to Picard. She's been like angry with everyone this whole time. The only one that she's connected with is this and vigilante, but let's face it, murderer of some kind. She's not the Batman. She does not live by the Batman code here. She's definitely taken a life or two. And we believe we see that later on, but like I gotta say that nothing is redeemable here. I did love though that was reinforced. Like her son's reaction to her reinforced my dislike of her, and as such, I'm okay with her being a character that I hate. Well, I'm fine with that.
Somebody was right. We ended up getting her back on the ship after all. She didn't just get off.
Unfortunately,
yeah. That was Christy. Neil, what was your reaction to this whole Raffi's a deadbeat mom?
I don't like the character, so yeah, it didn't surprise me. I'm like, yes, I've changed my life around for you, even though I was crap and this and that and the other. Forgive me. And it's like, just, I have no investment in that character whatsoever. I'm more invested in the other members of the crew. I have no investment in her character or her storyline. So it doesn't really matter what the writers do regarding her character. I'm just not interested. So, I'm more interested in the Doctor and Picard and the other crew members. I just don't like Ravi, so I have no interest in anything about her character whatsoever. So the scene kind of washed over me. I'm like, I kind of understand why he wants to have nothing to do with you, because I don't want to have anything to do with you. So jog on.
And I do want to make this clear before anybody says the Escape Pod's bashing an actress. No, we're bashing a character.
Yeah,
that is terribly written. The actress is a wonderful actress.
She's doing a great job of we don't like.
Yeah.
Now,
if
guys,
I was her
I was
her agent, I'd be looking for. I'd be like, find me something else.
Apro, what you got?
Well, I actually think Raffi's going to be our tragic heroine, the one that ends up getting redeemed in the end. She's going to maybe go out like Data in a blaze of glory, but she's the link to the military past. We're living in the non-military world now. And now we're seeing the fantasy in our sci-fi of Star Trek. And she's going to be the link that keeps JL from going to wherever they're taking him. But side note, when Nev was going on there, what if the Doctor is the ship, is the captain? What if that's the Doctor sitting there in the captain's chair?
No, sorry, I meant blonde chick. I meant
the extremely dark secret person. Yeah, okay,
yeah. I mean her. I like her and her character.
Although I would be okay with that thought, where the Doctor is.
Yeah, it ties into Thaddeus there, because he could be the ship, and one digital copy, one holographic project copy, and just wandering around while he is also the ship, and that's why he hates Self, because that's him before he walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Ravi needs something that is universally likable. Just one facet of her character needs to be something. Just one facet. I can't think of one nice thing to say about that character. Not one. Nothing. Not a damn thing.
I just question Like she jumps ship as soon as they get there. The only reason that she came on board in the first place is because she wanted to get to Free Cloud. And then the first thing she does when she gets there is goes and looks up her son. And she's like, "Hi, son, guess what? I'm clean." How clean could she be? Because she was smoking drugs when, like, she kept picking those plant things
Yeah,
off.
she was vaping like a good one in a trailer, wasn't she?
Yeah, so she's not clean. She's lying her head off. And then as soon as her son starts saying, like, "Oh, you're clean, you're clean. Well, what about this conspiracy theory?" She goes off her rocker again. And yeah, she's probably going to be proven right with this conspiracy theory, but obviously she's not in the place where she's pretending to be. She's pretending that she's got all of her stuff together and she's a basket case, and she's just basically like a bomb ready to go off at any point. So I feel apropos. I think that where we're going to eventually get with this character is we're all going to begrudgingly accept that she's going to make some big sacrifice down the road that we need. But right now, none of us have to enjoy her being along for the ride.
Well, she's also the representation of Picard not being able to fully do what he set out to do. When he failed Romulus, he failed her. Her whole life just exploded like a supernova right then and there. So in a way, him helping her is the exact same thing as him helping Romulus.
So you think that Raffi's redemption is also going to be Picard's redemption?
Absolutely. It's all going to be tied together.
All right. Well, we go back to the bar where the Beta Inari. By the way, the Beta Inari is essentially the Star Trek transition, if you ask me. Total reptile creature. We have lost audio on you, Thad. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I muted it because I was typing, but
Oh, okay.
I agree.
You laugh there.
Just silently laughing in the corner.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. Total reptile creature, and I really liked it. Mr. Vup. Mr. Vup was pretty neat.
He smells lies.
Yeah, he smells lies. And what you ate for dinner, and the last person you had sex with.
Yeah, that was too much.
I found that funny. And I was like, I don't want to think about Picard having sex. Thank you.
Vash, man, come on.
Yeah, Rios's line of maybe it's the same thing.
Does that mean you had sex with your pork chop or
no?
It was warm apple pie.
This podcast's not for kids, so I can tell you what he meant by that, can't I? Did nobody get that reference at all?
No, I'm innocent.
He ate, and then had sex with what he ate.
Oh.
So he ate out somebody and then had sex with them.
They don't do that.
They do everything else in the Star Trek in the new Star Trek universe. So you know,
they just have passionate kisses, and then it's the next morning. That
yes.
never happens in Star Trek.
Oh.
That's what I'm pretty sure. That's what he meant when he said that.
That's gross. Oh, I didn't think of that.
They really are going TVMA with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just wait for the next sex scene.
Oh, let's not.
Yeah, I can't wait for EMH and Rios love.
Ship to ship love.
Although there's definitely something going on there between Seven and Gozer.
Oh yeah.
And I was definitely liking the vibe there. That I was very much liking the vibe there.
Well, I mean, we know that Gozer ended up carving up Icheb. So
I think I'm with Nev here. There was a jilted lover twist to this. There was a scorned lover element to it, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not your coworker that you happen to talk about your lost son from the Delta Quadrant with.
No,
that was definitely
no.
Well, speaking of the lost son of the Delta Quadrant, in the beginning we do see they replay essentially the part where 7 of 9 puts Icheb out of his misery after he's been carved up by Dr. Gozer.
And that was at his request. Like it was very sad to me, but 7 was like trying to get him out of there, trying to save him, and he stopped her and he was like, no. And that's when she like hugged him and then killed him.
Which I still don't understand because, I mean, his injuries didn't look life-threatening at all.
Well, when you've had parts of your body, including your eyes, ripped out.
That still doesn't wash with me. That still doesn't wash with me at all. Sultai, when he had his eye removed, didn't walk out of prison and go, "Somebody shoot me, please." He got angry, he got mad, and he's like, "I'm killing all you mofos."
And how old was Sultai and how old was Icheb?
Exactly. He was coming towards the end of his life. Icheb had like years ahead of him. So I don't understand.
Millennial. He was a Borg millennial. He just wanted to die anyway.
Yeah, he just wanted it quick.
So we get a standoff, and essentially the Trandoshan gets killed by Rios after he goes to shoot Seven. Gozer trades her life for the release of Maddox, and everybody gets beamed back up to the ship, including Seven.
Yeah.
Seven essentially goes back to Quark's.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, my ride's here. By the way, can I take some guns with me?" How did we not see that coming?
It was obvious. It was obvious what she was going to do. Oh, can I take a couple of guns? Just kind of like just fancy.
We know you'll be back then. It's okay.
But yeah. It was obvious that she was going to go back and just like
it's boom boom time,
kill everybody. It's like she had the vengeance bug. She's like, yeah, they're right there. I'm so not walking away from this. I came here for vengeance. I'm getting my vengeance on, and she got her vengeance on like big style.
Yeah.
And she didn't just shoot. What are we calling her? Gozer.
Oh yeah, we're calling her Gozer.
We're calling her Gozer.
She had that phaser at a very high level.
They had it to puree.
Yeah. Maybe flambe.
Splatter mode.
What did they say in Ghostbusters when they think they got rid of her? Total photonic reversal. We got her, man. Paying homage to Ghostbusters,
There you go.
Maybe they were thinking of her as Gozer. Hey, doesn't this chick look like Gozer from Ghostbusters? Let's kill her like Gozer from Ghostbusters. So which means she's not really dead. Which means she's not really dead.
I think she's quite nearly, truly, really, nearly dead.
No. She could be alive. She could be alive. CBS might do a Star Wars and bring back like Star Wars brought back Palpatine.
She's the ship.
Yeah, maybe she was a hologram, or maybe they'll just do a spin-off.
Yeah.
Space Gozer.
Space Gozer, yeah.
All right, so let's hop back into here. We do end up seeing the we see the shot of 7 and 9 with the two guns from the trailer that we get in this segment.
That was nice.
And then it cuts away. We're back on the ship where Maddox is being checked out, and Maddox asks about Dodge and reveals that the Tal Shiar blew up his lab, who we know is the Zvatdash or whatever it was. Zvatvash, thank you.
And the entire time, Drew Hardy is like sitting there fiddling with something, just eavesdropping. Like, she was giving me vibes.
Well, she was being nosy. She was being a nosy Nelly, wasn't she?
She really was. She was like, "What's going on? I want to hear."
He gives Picard, Brad Maddox gives Picard the name of the sister, so Picard now knows the name of Soji, and also that she is on the artifact, and that Maddox reveals that he sent both Soji and Dodge to their respective areas to quote unquote find the truth.
Yeah, it was like going back to episode 1 for me. It's like the last 10 minutes. It's like, how many plot holes can we put in the storyline in the last 10 minutes of this episode? Because it's like, okay, don't get that, missing that. It's just by the end of that lot, that final 10 minutes, I'm like, how many flashbacks do we need in order to figure out what all of these bloody plot holes are? The whole. I was just totally confused. By the end of the episode, I was ridiculously confused.
Because it's not the end of the series or whatnot.
It would be a great place for a season finale, though.
It would have been a great place for a season finale, but I don't see them much as plot holes as you do, Neil. I see them as questions to be answered later in the season that we're currently on. Apro, what did you think about that?
Well, there's certainly a lot more to her than we're expecting or we were led to believe. She certainly had a good swing when she took a punch at that pop-up ad earlier. So she's definitely hiding more than what we're expecting, especially since when she's smothering the man who made her cookies, the man she, I guess, loved, maybe? That was... There's an awful lot of history that they're hinting at that they haven't told us. So we can look forward to all the flashbacks in the future.
What do you think, Chair?
Well said, Chair. Well said.
Great point.
Oh, God, wow. Oh, my God, I'm blown away by the point the Chair just made there. Absolutely blown away by the point the Chair just made there. Yeah.
Wait. Did the Chair just say what I thought it said?
I think it did, yeah. Totally did.
No, you guys are mishearing the Chair. Mishearing. No,
misunderstanding the Chair, you mean?
In the last, we're slightly jumping ahead. I don't think we talked about what happens to Maddox.
We haven't hit the end yet, Apro, but we'll get there.
What Maddox is telling Picard that Drew Hardy is overhearing, he's confirming a lot of things that we were suspecting, that Daj and Soji were created. They are sisters. They were both sent with very specific missions, whether they realize it or not. That there is a mom AI program, is what he called it, it's going to kick in and release some of those android abilities that right now Soji doesn't realize she has, and that he did it to find out the truth about the ban. That's how he phrased it. So he thinks that there's a conspiracy between the Romulans and Starfleet, something that created the ban on androids. That's my guess. And that is why he created these sisters and why he sent them to the specific places he did. One of which was the Borg cube, the artifact, which is in Romulan control. The other one was the Daystrom Institute, where Drew Hardy worked, that is in control of Starfleet. So they were sent to explore two different facets of this problem, and it confirmed a lot of where we expected the story was going and where we were hoping that it would take us. So yes, we do have some questions now. We have some questions, but it shows that the writers are really trying to bring everything around for us. They know that we don't know everything that's going on, but we know more than the characters do. So,
and well, if we could only get an eye on the script. Oh, too soon?
Yeah, I thought your whole, your whole pun was completely missed as well. I wanted to say something about that, but yeah.
That's Luke.
All right, so the finale of the episode then hits, where we essentially find out that Maddox, Doc Jahardi, and also Noonien Sung all worked to bring Dodge and them to life.
It could have just meant that they built on Sung's work.
That's true. That's true. What you got?
That would relate back to when Maddox was working with Data. Like somewhere in the Next Generation, they make mention of it way later, where Data is still talking to Maddox about his ongoing work. So that would be how they built on Soon's work. And I still think that somehow he's gotten some of the information from before that was Data. And somewhere along the way, he had lots of time to get Lol. So I really think that Lol is a big part of this set of twins that we're working with here.
Yeah. Going back and watching the episode with Lol after seeing Soji and Daj, I was like, oh gosh, they look a lot alike. So
yeah,
I don't know how much of that was intentional, but if so, bravo on the casting, because they looked like they could have been sisters, which technically they are.
What you got, Neil?
Yeah, she went a bit dark at the end, didn't she?
A little dark.
She went a little bit dark, which makes me love the character even more, because there's now this extra depth. She's not just this ditzy doctor. She's known stuff.
Yeah.
For the whole time, and it's like, so you didn't really love him. You were just using him for his body, and
I don't know. She looked pretty traumatized by what she was doing.
Yeah,
I think there was really
but she still did what she did. She still killed him. But so it was probably in lust with him as opposed to in love with him.
Yeah. So Dr. Jahardi goes and kills Maddox, essentially
in a pretty look painful as well.
Well, it was.
It looked bloody painful.
It was the equivalent of doing this during a in space. She cut off his oxygen essentially,
and deactivated the EMH when it showed up because it responded to her elevated body rhythms like it did earlier in the thing when she was nervous.
Well, yeah, she felt guilt for doing what she was doing.
What's wrong with you? And then it was like, oh crap, what's wrong with you? And then she deactivated.
What are those?
I mean, I'm not. She's a heartless bitch at that point, but she's not a psychopath, because if she was a psychopath, she wouldn't have triggered the EMH. She's a human being.
Well,
Afro, go ahead.
What are the odds she's part of the reason behind why the AI turned? Like, she has direct correlation between Mars, Utopia, Planitia, and the AIs. And either she was a part of it, or they tricked her and she became a part of it. And that's why she got him, because that's what she said. I wish they didn't show me that.
Yeah, and she was
that makes me think that she's connected somehow.
And she said that her part in creating the sisters was one more thing for her to atone for.
So
I just think that she's been manipulated by somebody else, because she's all we've seen up until that point is quite a nice a bit naive, but a very nice look, nice character that just is all about the work and all about the science, and then but she's obviously got that in the back of her mind, because she's been thinking, I loved you, or I did love you, and you've done this, and you've made me part of something that I'm not particularly comfortable with, but that thing that she's not comfortable with could have been manipulated by what she was shown. Because the one thing we know is, especially in this century, with the way that the technology is, what you're being shown isn't always necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
So Dan from our chat on YouTube says, please explain to a lukewarm Trek fan why they should watch Picard. Explain why it's good and why I should watch. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just curious. I'll explain from my vantage point. There is actually a storyline. There's a storyline that does base itself upon previous Star Trek episodes. It does follow lore. And with that being said, while we may not enjoy the F-bombs, while we may not enjoy the entire opening scene of this episode, there is a story there. It does intrigue, it does grasp you, and it does bring forth memories of Star Trek past. It's not episodic, as in self-contained episodes, but it is a quite linear show that builds upon the previous show. Is that the same for you, Apro?
Really, when I saw this question, I have no idea how to answer that properly. I literally grew up on Trek. That's one of the reasons why I love having Thaddeus here, because seeing it from somebody's point of view where they're not interested in Trek, I find that fascinating, to be perfectly honest, because I can't imagine a world like that.
So,
sorry.
to catch you up here, Thad, Dan in the chat had asked why somebody should watch Picard, why it's good, and why they should watch as a lukewarm Trek fan. Neil and I both have the same reaction from the beginning. Christy and Apro don't. What's your reaction?
Mega nerd.
So, yeah. First off, I like to point out that before I left, we had fewer viewers. I left, I came back, there were more viewers. So whatever you guys talked about brought more people in. Or my absence.
Your chair made some very, very
yeah.
valid
Your chair made some very pointent comments.
It's screaming, "Don't throw me away," because it's on its
real
last
firm
legs.
comments.
Yeah.
Hard hitting, man.
Yeah. If you could, it's one of those, like, if you knew what this chair had been through, what it had seen.
No.
Apparently the chair does need to watch its language, though.
Yeah.
The chair does need to watch its language.
Oh, yeah, it's foul. It's filthy, if you will. No. So
no.
So here's the thing, like, why should someone who is a lukewarm fan watch Picard? To me, it ties in a lot of the things that I've heard about and kind of know about. So, like, I don't know Jean-Luc Picard outside of memes. And I know that's the thing. So I'm coming in this completely fresh. Hold on. I say memes. Really, it's like memes and like The Simpsons and anytime they used like a joke. So no, I mean, I guess memes still works, but like
it was great that Apropos did a face palm over that. I'm just gonna say
no, but like that's the thing, and like this to me, this makes me feel like I'm starting something new with something that's established, if that makes sense. Like Star Trek is an established concept. It's people know it. There's clearly fans, but I can come in at the ground floor again, and it does enough to bring me back every week. I am interested every week. Every week I'm like, okay, what are they going to do this time? I was not expecting an eye gouging, a literal eye gouging. That was shocking to me. But it's interesting because I can start to see why people liked it, right? And granted, it's a different concept. It's a different construct altogether, right? And as we've seen from the diehard fans who love it, and the fans who are not as enthused by it. But to me, coming in as a brand new person, it's something that I like. I do. I like it. I've given it a shot. It fills the gap into what I've always thought Star Trek was. Those slightly episodic. This isn't as standalone as I thought it would be. I still think that we're going to get there.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I think that we're moving towards that for sure. But I think this first season is going to be one story arc, which I think is in keeping with what we've seen with modern television, with modern series. It's longer story arcs, with more depth. I think this episode finally showed depth, whereas some of the other ones did not. So
he missed all that time when his chair was talking.
Let
the man talk.
I know.
No, and I apologize. I had
Paul's been trying to wrap you up for 15 minutes.
because we have other stuff to do. Neil,
True.
Neil, what about you as far as this? If it wasn't for that itself, if it wasn't for that opening thing and the fact that we're watching this for that, is this something that you think a lukewarm Trek fan can get into? And then give us your score out of, how many out of 5 warp cores would you give this episode?
No, there's better sci-fi available on other streaming platforms and on other TV. I would wait until the entire season's out and see if it's binge-worthy. Because the waiting week after week after week is doing my head in. Especially having, So no, if you're a lukewarm, if a lukewarm Star Trek fan said, "Oh, is it worth watching?" I'd go, "Nah, wait until the season's out and then binge watch the entire season, and then you can decide if you like it or not." And I'll give it 3 out of 5.
All right, 3 out of 5 from Nev. No explanation. Thaddeus, what did your chair rate it, and then what did you rate it?
My chair loved it. My chair thought it was a 5 out of 5, but it was better than watching me sit on it. So, I mean, in comparison, that's not giving it a really great score. I will say that I liked the episode a lot more than I've liked some of the previous ones. Definitely episode 1 still, I think, reigned supreme. This is probably my second favorite episode of the series so far. It built story and continued the storyline in a way that I really enjoyed it. Definitely, I will also point out that I'm watching it headphones in on a small part of my computer where my children, if they're walking by, don't see anything super graphic. So I honestly think that had I watched this full TV, I would have given it a higher than a 4. But as such, I'm going to give it a 4.
All right, a 4 from there. Apro, your turn.
I'm going to have to give it 3.5 quantum torpedoes to the warp core. I would have gone a little bit higher, but I was not expecting that level of gore in the beginning. And I'll get over it, but it shocked me. Also, I got to say, Raffi and the Doctor, I got a complete opposite view from you guys. I'm more interested in Raffi than the Doctor. I thought she was just ditzy until suddenly she's evil.
All right, Mrs. Anthony.
Well, thank you for asking me. What? You asked everybody else why to watch Picard except me. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. It felt the most like we're trying to get back into away missions and adventures and things like that. So this is really the first time we've had anything that resembled an away mission. We had ridiculous costumes. We had a little bit of action, and we had a twist right at the end. So I really enjoyed it. It was a good episode. And to briefly say why I think people should watch Picard, I am a Star Trek mega nerd, but I think that this is a series that you can watch from the start. You can very quickly get caught up as to what's going on in the world. They have all these flashbacks that tell you why you should want to talk to these characters and learn from them. And it will make you want to watch the old stuff. So if you want to get into Star Trek, this is a gateway for you.
Gateway drug.
Yeah.
All right, 3.65 out of 5 for me. The gore really, really did bug me, as I've mentioned, but no bad words, except for the words JL, apparently, for Nev.
I agree.
That's his new swear.
I take the -1 for that gore right off the bat. A -0.35 for not enough reveal. But it played too heavy on previous knowledge. New reveal as in previous knowledge. You did not know. If you knew Bruce Maddox from the episode where he tried to take away Data, if you knew Icheb from 7 of 9, what you got?
I wanted to say that we did get motivations from people. I was going to wait until after, so you weren't going to get interrupted. Sorry.
you poked me in the elbow.
Sorry.
You needed to talk to me then. But nonetheless, I give it a 3.65. It was fun to watch, but I could have done without the opening segment.
All right.
So, all that being said, that is a 3.63 average for us on this episode.
About second highest.
Oh, that's Morn again. Hang on, I got the wrong picture. I'm looking for this picture because coming up over on Going Nerdy's channel, we are going to be talking clones.
Yes, we are.
That is a nerdy 501st helmet for you.
Indeed.
But we're going to be going over to Going Nerdy's channel. Give us about 10 minutes to refill our drink bottles. I'll have to go from the Escape Pod to free-to-play tiers. And then
I've got no free-to-play tiers for you this week.
I know. And Nev is going to go and refill his bourbon. But
not drinking tonight.
Thanks for having me here, guys.
All right.
Then his eyes.
Our special guests that join us, Mrs. Anthony, thank you for coming on the program with us. Thank you for being the recent watch person. And apropos, thank you for being the lore of this all. Live long and prosper, my friend. We really appreciate you coming on. We'd like to see you again next week, my friend. Can you clear some time?
No guarantees on next week, but hey, every day is a new adventure, man. Let's one day at a time.
All right. Well,
Thanks for the nice words, Dagger.
We will see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Be nice to each other, damn it. Thaddeus, tell us the line.
This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. And before I'm going to say this, I'm going to give away a spoiler for next week. Not a spoiler, but a clue. Not even a clue. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. She's their mother.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And with that, smile and stay nerdy, my friends.
Push the button, Nev.
Tit half an hour, folks.